So here we go. We're starting our little excursion. We are going to starting at Minahan's restaurant. Minahan's is a family favorite for decades. I'm 53 years old. I remember coming here as a teen with my family. It's expanded dramatically, adding mini golf, go-karts, and all kinds of entertainment, along with the restaurant that specializes in burgers, fries, hot dogs, and that type of thing. So we're currently leaving Minahan's, driving into the hamlet of Lakeville. Lakeville is the northern point on Conesus Lake, and that is the location of the Conesus Lake outlet. Okay, right up here on the right, we're going to stop briefly at Vitale Park. This place, Vitale Park here, is bustling in the summer. People will come here to swim. Lots of people that have boats on the lake will bring their boats into the cove here, and generally have a really good time with picnics and that type of thing. The water in the cove here is only probably 3 feet deep max, so it's not something that you really got to worry about for younger kids getting over their head or anything, because you can walk quite some distance out from the shore before you get in over your head. I haven't been through here for quite a few years. It's interesting to see how things have changed. Here on the right, or I'm sorry, up here at the light, we're going to turn right down East Lake Road. Now along this stretch, the East Lake Road is quite a ways away from the shore, but just a little ways up here it curves back in, and The nice thing about Conesus Lake, a lot of the roads around the lake will get you really close to the shore, so you actually appreciate the view of the lake. Some of the other Finger Lakes, there's train tracks going along the shore, or it's built up with houses in such a way that you can't really see anything, and that's not really enjoyable for everyone else. Here is Camp Stella Maris. Camp Stella Maris is a Catholic-centered youth camp. It was established in 1926, I believe. They offer summer camp and different activities year-round. They offer facility rentals and all kinds of programs. I've never participated, and none of my family's ever participated, but we're not Catholic. But the programs they offer aren't strictly for Catholics. It's open to anybody. Look at this, couple of mallard ducks in the road. Okay, you can see up ahead here on the right that the lake appears to narrow dramatically. This up here is the narrowest point of the lake, and it's directly across the lake from Long Point Park. see here, there's a little store that's very popular on the east side of the lake, and they have a little burger place there too. Shoreless Acres General Store, very popular. They have Conesus Lake memorabilia and the different sundries and things that people need that live here on the lake, that they don't want to run all the way to the closest town, and they just want to run up the road a little ways to grab something real quick. That's where they go. This is the New York State boat launch on Conesus Lake. It is a little bit more than halfway down the lake, going from north to south. Okay, that is most of the points of interest on the east shore of Conesus Lake. About 4 miles down, we'll cut across the south end of the lake and go around to the west side. I've spent a lot of time in Canada over the past few years, as my wife is a Canadian citizen, and her family has had cottages in Canada their whole lives. And it's a stark contrast between, like, this lake here, Conesus Lake here in New York, and the lakes up in the Ontario, Canada. Here, there's times where there's like 5 feet or less between houses, and everything is built up so close. Nobody's got any privacy. Everybody's on top of each other. Whereas in Canada, you go to a lake like this, there could be a mile between houses. Very, very spread out, very, very remote, very, very rural. I see what looks like a campfire on the other side of the lake, and I can smell it over here. Always love the smell of campfires. Kind of soothing, actually. Relaxing. Now, both sides of the street here are New York State Department of Environmental Conservation Park. It's the Conesus Lake Inlet. Lots of nature observation around here. People like to fish, canoe and kayak through the little waterways that make up the inlet. It's very swampy with like creeks running through here that all converge at the end and empty into Conesus Lake, thereby making it the inlet. And here we go onto Westlake Road. There's a pullover point to access the state lands here at the Conesus Lake Inlet. And if I remember correctly, up here there's going to be a turn to the right to go down by the water. So I could show you what I was talking about with reference to the canals and the waterways that empty into the lake. Oh, look at this. Amish people with a buggy, horse-drawn. I'm not going to leave the bike to walk around. It looks a little wet and muddy through there. So I'm not going to be able to take you closer to the canals. Okay, we're going to continue north up Westlake Road, going around Conesus Lake. About a mile up from here, there's a restaurant called the Beachcomber. It's a popular restaurant on the lake. I have a funny story, well, not really funny story, but an interesting story about the Beachcomber. The claim to fame that I know about the Beachcomber is the fact that about directly out from the Beachcomber at the center of the lake, I was told that there is a hearse at the bottom of the lake. As the story goes, people were out ice fishing in the winter, and they took a hearse out there, and they were screwing around out on the lake doing donuts and all kinds of good times, and the hearse broke through the ice. They got out safely, but the hearse is at the bottom. I heard that story from my dad and a couple uncles that used to be avid fishermen out here, and they would fish in the summer and ice fish in the winter. I don't know if they had any connection to the hearse that went through the water, or through the ice rather, but they talked about that for years and years, and the story never changed, so I'm convinced. I think the views on the west side of Conesus Lake are prettier than the east side. I think on the west side the property lots are bigger. It makes it feel much less cluttered. And also it's a little elevated compared to the east side of Conesus Lake. So I think that gives you better views as well. Mirrors mounted on poles and trees along both sides of Conesus Lake in random locations, and a lot of people wonder what the heck they're there for. And homeowners along the lake, a lot of times the driveways are very steep and they have blind driveways where they have a lot of difficulty pulling out and looking both ways for traffic. So they put up those concave mirrors and specialty mirrors that allow them to look down the road from their driveway to make sure there's no cars coming before they pull out. And it's just a safety thing. Smart, really. Again, we're coming to the narrowest point on Conesus Lake, so if you remember my narration earlier, this is the location of Long Point Park on the west side of the Conesus Lake. Long Point Park, when I was a kid, was an amusement park. Family-run operation. They had merry-go-round, Ferris wheel, little boat rides, scrambler, tilt-a-whirl, all kinds of stuff. But then, in I believe it was the 90s, there was a fire, and a lot of the park burned down, and as a result, they did not rebuild, and the town of Geneseo ended up taking over the property, and it is now just a town park with beach access. So those that don't have property on Conesus Lake can come to the park here and get access to go swimming. During the summer there are lifeguards on duty. You see that little trailer down by the shed there? That is a sheriff's substation. The Livingston County Sheriff's Department keeps a couple boats on Conesus Lake. They keep one at the north end of the lake at Vitale Park, and they keep one here at the midpoint of Conesus Lake at Long Point Park. now that I've had this Honda NT1100 for a couple of weeks now, it being my first bike, it's taken me a while to get used to riding and the controls and just everything about it. I'm a brand new rider. I've got literally 480 miles under my belt at this point. I'm all on this bike. This is my first bike. And today really is the first day where I'm feeling comfortable with the controls, where like I feel like I know what I'm doing with the Apple CarPlay, what I'm doing with the switching between the controls and the audio and the comm set and everything. Because when I got this bike, one of the things that I didn't realize is the comms not only connect to your cell phone, but they connect to the bike too. And then my bike is also paired to my cell phone. So every device is paired to two different items. And the setup wasn't the most intuitive, and there was a lot of trial and error to finally get it to work properly, but now that it's working properly, I really like it. Well, that is the conclusion of our loop around Conesus Lake. Right up here at the stoplight is the Minahan's restaurant that we started from. And I think I will pull in there and shut down the camera and the microphone and put everything away. And then I think I'm going to head home because I'm getting cold.